We did 10 piers for just over $100. And this is the way my grandpa used to do it. Back in the 60s, he used to shovel and a pickaxe, and he dug his own foundation, or his own full basement under his house that he was building by hand. You will never think of concrete the same way again. So there are generally, I would say, about 5 different approaches that people come to when it comes to pouring concrete. So number 5 is the least expensive of all 5, and it's probably something that you haven't thought of before. You may not even know that this is possible. So stick around to the end of the video and you can see exactly how we did our concrete and how you can do it. I mean, we did 10 piers for $100. So the first way people think of to to pour concrete is just hire it done. Just call a guy and call a professional, have him come out, put his forms up. He'll have a truck come out, deliver the concrete, you pour it all at once, you're done, and it's good. I mean, this is a really good way if you've got the budget to do it. It makes a lot of sense to do it this way because professionals know what they're doing. You're going to have a high quality concrete pour when you're all done. You're going to have a high quality concrete pad. So, you know, if you've got a budget for this, you know, for that kind of thing, that is the way to go. Number 2, this is where you would build your forms or rent them, rent the concrete tools, order the concrete from a concrete company, and have it delivered in a big concrete mixing truck. And that's what people generally think of when they think of a DIY project. It's probably the riskiest way to pour concrete as a DIYer because the concrete that comes from the truck is specifically designed for professionals to use. And so you got to work quickly, and you're dealing with a lot of concrete all at once. So you got to pour it and you've got to work it in and you've got to get it done. When I poured my basement, when I built my house, it was probably the hottest day of the year. It was in the mid 90s. And we had the concrete truck come in the morning, we poured it, we went to lunch, you know, we kind of floated it, we went to lunch, and then when we came back, the concrete was hard, rock hard, and we could not work it. So we ended up with a basement floor that was only float finished, and it has been a disaster. So, so don't make that mistake. So DIY level number 2 is where you'd have ready mix. You'd buy the sacks of ready mix at the lumberyard. Everything is all pre-mixed together except for the water. You throw it in the concrete mixer. You splash a little water in there, mix it up, and then dump it in into your forms and smooth your concrete out. That is where a lot of people think DIY ends. There are 2 more levels, and that last one is the one that we did. So stick around. So DIY level number 3 is to go to the lumber yard or go to, you know, a hardware store and buy Portland cement in the bag. It's usually about 94 pounds. It is not ready mix. It does not come with gravel. It doesn't come with sand. It's just the concrete. So what you would do is you would have gravel and sand delivered to your site, and then you buy the Portland, and then you mix it with the water in the mixer. This is actually a lot easier than doing the ready mix way, in my opinion, because usually you're carrying less bags, because 1 bag of Portland equals, I think, 1 bag of Portland equals about 5 bags of ready mix. So it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be a lot less work. You're going to be carrying less bags of heavy material around. And then so all you got to do with all the lifting you really have to do is with a shovelfuls of sand and gravel and Portland. That is the way my dad did it a lot. When he poured concrete, he'd order gravel and sand to have them bring it in. He'd mix it with Portland, have in his own cement mixer. You can rent them. You can rent big cement mixers and mix them yourself. I like the Harbor Freight one that we got. You know, it's small. You can only do basically 10 shovels full at a time, but it works, and it's slow pace, and it's kind of a relaxing experience. It really is not very stressful. But when you're pouring your own concrete and you're doing a small batch at a time, you can take your time. It's a leisurely activity. So the stress level is way down. So here we go. Here's the number 5 way to pour your own concrete that is the least expensive. We did 10 piers for just over $100. And this is the way my grandpa used to do it. Back in the 60s. He used to shovel and a pickaxe, and he dug his own foundation, or his own full basement under his house that he was building by hand. And then when he went to mix the mortar, mix the concrete for that foundation, he got into his 55 Ford, I think it was a 55, early 50s Ford truck, and went to the gravel yard, so where they dig gravel out of the ground, and he would shovel with a spade shovel his truck full of gravel and sand, take it back to his house, and then mix it with the Portland and the water, and poured his own footings, made his own mortar. He had my mom, when she was a little girl, he made her up a little sifting box, and she would sift that sand and get the small little pieces, and they would so that he could, lay bricks with that mortar sand. So and that is kind of the way we did our own barn, our own piers on this particular project. I used the tractor, though. I didn't use a spade shovel. I took the tractor out to our own we have kind of a little gravel pit that we've been digging out of for the driveway over the years, and I've got some pretty clean stuff in there. So I'm able to get a hold of both sand and gravel, bring them up, and then mix them with the Portland with some water, and pour it. You might not have that resource, but you might. Take a look on your land and see. Maybe a neighbor has some clean gravel that you can get a hold of. You don't necessarily have to order the gravel from a sand and gravel company, but that is an inexpensive way to do it. It really doesn't cost a whole lot. So you can see in this video, Zeke and I are pouring the concrete for this foundation, and I am teaching him the way to do. I'm teaching him a skill, and that's kind of why I want to build this barn, so that I can pass on these skills to my sons and to my grandchildren and to other kids too. It's important. It's an important thing to do, to have a space where you can teach future generations the skills that you've learned, and it's very important to have a space that is conducive to learning. So that's kind of the goal with this project. We'd like to get started on that before during the winter season, so we don't have much time. It's early November now to get things done. Pouring concrete is fun.